Right, so this morning I come back out, finished up the corner, welding in with the pie cut down in here. And then I went back and put the reinforced fiberglass Bondo over the rest of it there. And then what I'll probably do now is when I get the top repaired, which by the way, I found some more rust, is put a skim coat of Bondo all the way across just to fill in these pits and places in here. Here's the big surprise that I didn't think was as bad. This is across the roof line. And obviously that's where the windshield was leaking. Luckily, there's no rust on the inside and it's pretty much contained to that rolled lip there. So what I intend to do on that is probably just cut past this lip a little bit here and down under here to where I can have a good enough seam to get rid of this roll and the rust. Interesting side note, I didn't know they done brazing on the seams in '81, but apparently they still did. So that's what we have so far. So here's what I've come up with to try to make that roll on that roof. I've got a piece of black iron pipe. I've cut me a strip of metal and I've clamped it on each end. And I'm going to put a clamp in the middle and I'm going to take a hammer and roll that metal around that pipe. And that'll give me somewhat of the correct roll, and then I'll trim the piece from there. Now I'm just going to put a little rust treatment down in that caddy. Okay, so I got the piece bent with the black iron pipe and I started stitch welding it in there. The contour looks really good on it. I did end up putting it in two pieces for the simple fact the area right over the center of the windshield, the rust was a little more extensive and went down closer to the pinch weld for the windshield. So I had to cut that piece a little wider, but everything looks good. The contour ended up staying good and straight on the roof. I don't think I'd have much warpage. I'm going to try to just weld slow. That's why I've got so many tacks on there, and then I keep going back between the tacks after it cools until I finally get a solid, pretty much solid weld all the way across, and then I'll take the grinder with probably some 40 grit, 36 grit, and work down the weld some, and then go from there down to a skim coat of fiberglass reinforced Bondo, and then after that I'll probably have to skim some with Bondo over it just to fill in any imperfections. But hopefully the weld issue won't be a problem and there is no warpage on the top. The top on the truck is actually really straight. I found one small dent in it, and maybe if we get lucky enough there with the welding and try to contain the heat, we won't do any warping and won't have to have much Bondo at all on that roof edge. Okay, so I've welded up the top piece across the top of the windshield, and just about forgot to video any of it, so I wanted to stop here before I got all the way to the end. But you can see where the weld was, and all I do is just grind these down to where they're flush, or trying to get them pretty even with that, and then of course put a little of the reinforced Bondo over it. I put quite a bit out through the middle there because I wanted to make sure that I got it halfway level if there was any warpage, and hopefully there's not. So we'll see when I block across it to see how it comes out. But pretty much I've got all the metal repaired now around the windshield. All I got to do is work this down and make sure it's straight. There's one thing I've learned with the temperatures this warm here in Kentucky over the years. You sure don't want to put much hardener in your Bondo. It won't allow you much time to get it spread if you get too much in it. So I always cut it way back when it's like this. We was in the 90s today. It's a little cooler this afternoon, but still pretty warm. Sometimes there's no better spreader than a finger. This completes the roof repair, rust repair. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.